yeah, which like makes me think, because I like to think about the city as a like constant transformation, but also
Yeah.
destruction,
Yes.
and like within that violence, um, like violence to that territory is like creation. It's like again the microcosm and the macrocosm,
Yeah.
which is like very, it's like very present in my artistic processes.
Yes.
Because yeah, it's almost like you don't really want to see this kind of like transformation or destruction all the time, but it's also really beautiful to see
Yeah.
mm, the territory is like resilient, or like nature in general, um, and like maybe we don't necessarily see um, nature in your artwork, but it's also like it's embedded in
Hmm.
the making of,
It's the unspoken.
yeah, and
Yeah.
just like um yeah, I'm trying to make a link but it's very obvious to me when you like uh, take these materials that are found in like outside in
Yeah.
the streets, and then create something new um, out of it. uh, I don't know if like it's 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 just very important to me, I guess, to like um, take into consideration where the materials that you're using to
Yes.
create something, like it's almost something very spiritual to me to
Hmm.
like um you know considerate where everything is coming from, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's
It,
maybe you don't see it like maybe like something spiritual, but
well, it's definitely very moving. Like there's something about it that is powerful to me. Um, yeah, just to become aware of the the material history of every single component around us, and then as an artist to be able to select what components you use. I think when you're a fiber artist or a sculptor, those materials available to your disposal are absolutely everything. It's not like you're stuck with paint and canvas or, these traditional materials. Um, so yeah, I think it's fun to play around with how far you can push the boundaries of material exploration while using traditional processes. Um, and I found countless countless ways to do it, and that's like the fun of always exploring, um, while still having that framework of traditional processes that you can, you know adapt, but they keep you they keep you within a set of constraints, which is also like very necessary for me to be able to make things.
yeah, I guess uh it's crazy how much time we spend with with these materials, so we can get to know them better every time,
Yes.
but also it's almost like it will never happen. Like we will never really get a hold of the whole material thing, even when working with them for years or working with a
Yeah.
specific technique. It's always like maybe you will get better with time, but it's especially with textiles. It's like I am I'm s- I'm still thinking that I'm like a beginner, that I don't
Yes.
know nothing, you know, and it's
It's so humbling.
yeah.
It's, oh wow. Yeah.
And that's it's not the case. Like you learn every time you work with a with textile, and it's
Yeah.
uh,
I always find myself developing these specific little tricks. Like no matter what I'm doing, at first you're struggling and you can't get it to do what you want, and then you work your way around it and you figure out exactly the way to hold your tool or exactly the way to like hold the tension correctly or whatever.
mm,
And you're doing this, you're like, wow, I'm getting really good at this process, but it's something that you'll never do again or you'll never use
mhm,
again. So what's actually getting developed is just your skills at um, problem solving and
uh-huh.
like hand-eye coordination and all these things. But it's funny, I've just, yeah, over the years had to develop so many different little tricks to get the materials to um, shine in the way that I want them to, and then you just never do it again.
Yeah, uh, yeah, and also like see other people like just not struggling in the same way that you're. Like I always think people, not the not that they are better than me, but like sometimes I think, oh, they're really good at this or they're really good at that. But the more I talk to people, the more I realize they also have the same feeling.
Yeah.
Like we all think we suck at this, but it's also
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you think of videos watching like master artisans who are in their 80s or something and they're making a clay pot or something, and they are, the absolute master in the entire world, and they'll look at you and just be like, hey, I learn a new thing every time I make a new pot. And it's just how wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful symbiotic experience to make something and learn from the materials. It's not something that you can complete, and I think that's just so lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but me, yeah, I like to jump across. I do a lot of weaving, but I like to jump around and do different techniques. So um even when I think something's going to be a breeze, it usually ends up being a good challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this body of work, when I read the theme, just kind of made the most sense to me, because not only are there like material metamorphoses happening, but the project kind of touches on more like internal transformations or um, uh, developments over time. Like it kind of developed out of like a difficult time, and was like this project kind of became ingrained in certain like mental health coping mechanisms that have um, been with me, um, and like, yeah, just I was thinking a lot about how what place art making has in my like mental health, both good and bad. Because I think it's easy to frame it as like, oh, if you're struggling, art will making something will help you heal, or it'll set you free or whatever. But I think it's a bit more complicated than that. And like art practice is something that most people have a very existential crisis about. There's that struggle. You know, it's supposed to be something you do for enjoyment, but it's also something that is really tied up with your identity, and just easy to use it to be hard on yourself or judgmental. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, for some reason, like this project just brings up a lot of like internal memories and things that are kind of difficult to put into words, but just about like growing from a young girl and through like the really challenging years of puberty and teenagehood, and like all of the struggles that are very like specific to the female experience. That's kind of, yeah, the themes that are like lingering down at the subconscious of the work. And that's why I have all these like feminine coded materials, I guess, mixed with like really harmful stuff like cement, lead, rust, like sharp objects. And yeah.
Oh yeah. So like it's so I was going to say it's so personal, but like every artwork is like, well, not every artwork, but like most of what we create is like very personal. And
Yeah,
yeah, but
it
it's
is.
also, yeah, in like you say, it's like it does like help you heal or like cope or whatever, but it's also like very, like it hurts
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, or like most of the time, because it's
Yeah.
like you're you're living like a part of yourself, like you're living,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. So it's like sometimes I think it's artists, it's a personal expression, but it can be easier sometimes to make work that feels kind of detached, like making art that's about art, or making art that's about um, something else that's not about you. But in reality, everything you make is about yourself. And so it's like I wanted to challenge myself to be more vulnerable and like make some work that was, yeah, really about personal experience and like validating my own personal experience, even though I have like so many privileges, it's not even funny. Like, yeah.
well, that's so interesting. I well, thank you for like answering to my questions. Like I enjoy so much talking to like artists that I don't know, and like I, to be honest, I discovered your work because you were presenting at La Centrale. But
Yeah,
now,
of
like,
course.
yeah, like it's so I I see so many things that are similar, and it's so interesting. And I think I really miss this aspect of like meeting new artists and like just talking to them
I know.
in real in real life.
Yeah, I know.
And I I am very happy that we got to like make these interviews slash conversations
Me
uh,
too.
for the exhibition, and that we got to talk. Even if
Yeah, that was so great. I never get to have like great in-depth or it's just feels good and your questions were so yeah, thoughtful and